Hello Stampers, this is Yana Smakula for My Favorite Things. Welcome back for another video tutorial. In this video, I'm creating a clean and simple floral card for a friend. My card sentiment says, to a very lovely friend, and I'm using the My Favorite Things Butterflies and Blooms stamp set. This stamp set features two beautiful floral images, several butterflies, and a few different sentiments, all geared towards friendship cards. This is a super fun set to play with, so let's jump right in. I'm starting with my Mini Misti stamping tool, and here I have a sheet of Neenah Solar White cardstock. This is the 80-pound cardstock, and it is cut to 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. I've placed it inside my Mini Misti stamping tool, and I'm going to stamp two of the flower images from this set. I love the sketch style of these flowers, the way that they're illustrated. They're just beautiful. I am going to stamp the smaller flower one more time just because I want to have 3 flowers for my finished card. I'm also stamping one of the butterflies. I first wanted to stamp one butterfly design, but I later changed my mind and I stamped an additional butterflies. And you do have a bunch of different butterflies in this stamp set, so there are quite a lot of different options. I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black ink for my stamping. This is Copic marker friendly ink, as I will be coloring these images using my Copic markers. My coloring is, as always, very simple. I like to go from dark to medium to light, and I'm starting with the leaves by using YG67, and I'm just adding this to the base of the leaf and also to the center portion of the leaf where I want to create a fold. Next, I'm coming in with a YG17. This is my medium green, and I'm extending that green color further down into my leaf. And finally, I'm using the YG03. This is my lightest green for this color combination, and I'm using this color to basically extend the color green all the way across my leaf to complete the coloring. You can use whatever color combination, like whatever is your go-to green color combo for this, to color the leaves and also the flower stems and the flower base green. Now, next I'm using the C9 and also C10 Copic markers to dot in the flower centers. When you stamp the flower centers, it almost looks black because of the detail in the center. I wanted mine to be even blacker, so here I'm using the C9 and C10 to add little dots. If you want to change the color of your flower center, or if you wanted to add highlights, for example, you could use a Jelly Roll pen, and use a pen to dot in whatever other color you want. I wanted to keep my flowers mostly light or mostly white with just a subtle hint of color. So here I'm using RV00, and I'm basically flicking this color from the base of the petal and also from the tip of the petal, and I'm leaving the central portion of my petal white. So this creates the illusion that the petal is almost white. It is very pale pink, and it has a lot of highlights in the center. I will later come in with a slightly darker pink to add a bit more shadows, but for now I'm keeping it like this. Next, I'm using YR04. This is a pretty vibrant orange, and I'm coloring my next flower orange. And again, I'm doing the exact same approach to my coloring. So I'm going to have a pink flower, an orange flower, and also a red flower. And that's the color combination for my card today. I'm also coming in with a YR00, and I'm using this color to extend that vibrant orange into further down into the petal. And here you can see me using the RV02. This is that darker pink to add a little bit more pink color to my first flower. Finally, my last flower, I'm using red markers, and I'm starting with the R05. I'm adding that at the base of my petals and also just a little bit at the tip of the petals as well. And then coming in with a lighter red, this is the R22. And again, extending that color further down into my petal. So this way, I just have a little bit of a white highlight left. I'm using the exact same colors to color the butterfly, and I'm starting with the R05, my dark red for the bottom wings. Next, using the orange YR04 to extend that red further down again into the bottom part of the wing, and blending it all out using the RV02. Now, the top part of the wing is only going to be colored pink using the RV02 and also the RV00 markers. And this just gives me a nice cohesive color palette for my card. There are coordinating dies available, and of course, I used mine to cut these images out. And next, I used scissors to add a little bit of tweaking to my die cuts. I wanted to create a little floral arrangement, a little bouquet, and I knew I needed to alter my die cuts a little bit. So what I'm doing here is I'm basically cutting the stems, the leaves apart from the flowers, just because I want to do a slightly different bouquet here, and I want to arrange my flowers differently. And the way that the flowers are angled, I need to make sure to cut the leaves apart. I'll still use the leaves. I'm not throwing anything away. I'm just going to tuck the leaves here and there until I'm happy with how this arrangement looks. I do play around and fuss a little bit with the arrangement until I'm happy. And once I am happy, I'm using a sheet of press and seal to secure all of these images in place. I want to be sure to keep them together, because once I've arranged them, that's how I want to transfer them onto my card. And using press and seal is actually a great way that you can, secure your arrangement together and carefully transfer it onto your project. And actually, before transferring, you'll see me trying different colors of paper because I couldn't make up my mind. I wasn't sure which background I liked best for this arrangement. So using press and seal is super helpful because this allows me to easily pick up and transfer this little bouquet and place it over different colors of cardstock until I'm happy and confident that that's the background that I like and want to use for my card. I decided on a pink background for this card, and here I've placed it back inside my Mini MISTI stamping tool. You can see that I've also positioned my floral arrangement over it. I used the press and seal to help me do that. And I'm now going to stamp a sentiment. I did cut the sentiment apart. I wanted it to be a 2-line message instead of a single line message. And I'm nestling it under my butterfly. So I'm just going to use my Mini MISTI, close the door of my MISTI, pick up the stamps, remove the die cut images, and then use the VersaFine Onyx Black ink to stamp my sentiment onto the pink cardstock. Now you might think, why am I doing it this way? Why haven't I adhered my floral arrangement first and then stamped a sentiment? It would have been easier, of course, but the reason I didn't do that is because I also wanted to add some scoring to the background of my card. So here I'm using my scoring tool and a stylus, and I'm just scoring horizontal lines 1/2 inch apart, just to give a little bit of interest and detail to my card. Now, where I have a sentiment, I am skipping that section, so I'm not scoring over it, but I am scoring right next to it. So this is why I needed to stamp the sentiment first, then do my scoring, and then add my floral arrangement over it. Now, this is a super old trick, and I feel like I've not done this in a while, so I decided to revisit it. I love using this to add very subtle, simple detail to my card backgrounds. Now here I have trimmed this background to 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches, and I have foam mounted this onto an A2 side folding card base. Now another thing that I used to like to do but haven't done in a while is white splatter. I used to love adding white splatter to my cards. I feel like that was a trend at some point, but it kind of went away. And now I feel like I want to try this trend again. So I've added a little bit of white acrylic paint onto my glass mat. I've added a little bit of water, and I'm using my water brush to pick up that paint and splatter it onto my background. I'm just being random here. I'm adding some smaller and some bigger splatters until I'm happy with this result. Now, most of the splatter is, of course, going to be covered by my die-cut images, but some is going to be visible, and it's just going to add a little bit of interest to my background. I have added double-sided foam adhesive squares to the back of my flowers that are sitting there on the press and seal. And now I can simply position the press and seal on my background, lightly press down and remove the press and seal. And this basically places my arrangement the way I put it together onto my card. So that's very easy and super handy to do once you're happy, once you've put together an arrangement on your work surface and once you're happy with it, but you haven't exactly transferred it onto your card. I used glue to adhere that butterfly die cut onto my card, and I also added a couple of clear sequins just to spice things up, and I love the way that this turned out. So here's a look at the finished card. I hope you like it. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. Love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye!